Hey folks, it's Greg Sharp and another edition of Inside Armwrestling. Folks, it is Wednesday. And the reason why I say that is so that Anthony knows which day this one's going up. It's going up on Wednesday. And as you saw on Monday, I have to read my prompts here because unfortunately after 3 months out in the field, I'm not as fluent as I was when I first left off. So welcome to Inside Armwrestling, the home of all news on arm wrestling, fitness, sports, strength sports, and fitness competition. Wednesday, folks, on a big week here in arm wrestling. King of the Table returns for everyone to see September 28th. And let me tell you something. It's King of the Table. I'm going to take off my glasses. A little dramatic glass take off there. King of the Table is kind of evolved into a pretty cool platform. And why I say that is it looked like originally the King of the Table might be somewhat of a competitor in East versus West. But I think it's kind of morphed more into a social side of the competition, as well as a growing side for the competition for East versus West. And I think that makes it kind of unique. And to be quite honest with you folks, you know, I often have been in conversations where I didn't quite know if King of the Table would be able to hold its own when East versus West started to really grow and to create a different dynamic of that super match series. But ultimately, I think that there's enough compelling matches out there that people want to see that are not necessarily world elite level or world championship level, but have some real, premise to be seen and really start growing the sport on different levels of perhaps social media, popularity, and that sort of thing. And why I say that is we look at the headline for King of the Table 12. I'm looking at the platform. They've got their press conference, and they've got all their key times that are going on there. September 28th, the pay-per-view is at Coresports.world. So Coresports.world is where you want to go in order to be able to watch that in its entirety. King of the Table 12 has a couple of really interesting matches. The main event, the main match, and we'll get into the main match first, and I think it's worth getting into, Devin Larratt versus Leonidas Arcona. It's an interesting match. And why I say it's an interesting match is because Devin has, as we all know, after the Levon match, is kind of lost a ton of body weight. And not necessarily a ton of ability. That's not the equation at all, but a ton of body weight. Has trimmed down. I think he may be, in my eyes, pretty close to 40, 50 pounds lighter than what he was with the match with Levon. And I think he looks great. You know, anytime somebody's putting that much strain on their body in their later years, or even early years, but certainly their later years, you're really kind of rolling the dice, in my opinion, rolling the dice with your health, because you just never know what underlying health concerns that you've kind of grown and have matriculated into within your body, that putting your body under stress and duress on a very large amount of, we'll call pancakes, is oftentimes not a great thing to do. You see a lot of athletes in bodybuilding world and strength athletes having heart attacks these days, mainly because I think that the synthetic product of supplementation has changed in a direction that it's not as predictable, if you will, as it used to be. When you start talking about steroids of the anabols and the decas of the past, you knew that you were going to get water retention. You knew you were going to get some high blood pressure and some hypertension. But now you look at some of these synthetic drugs, the SARMs on a very lower level, up to the trenbolones, and some of these synthetic steroids that are out there. And now all of a sudden, the impact on the body is multipliers. I mean, it truly is multipliers. Now, not having taken that myself, but I will say this: I do use a daily regimen of TRT, or I should say weekly. So I am accustomed to regulating my testosterone and hormone balance. but not taking the higher levels of performance-enhancing drugs. It's oftentimes hard for someone to talk firsthand about it. But in talking to those in the sports, I do know that when you start to get involved with those higher-end PEDs, it will oftentimes put a very large stress on your body. And that, in turn, it puts you at a health risk. Whether you're 22 years old or 46 years old, you're certainly playing with Mother Nature a little bit and your physiological makeup. And in those cases, sometimes it's a weak link scenario. And if your heart or a valve is your weak link, that's going to be the first to go. So I'm glad to see Devin come down in weight. Certainly we saw him pull Chance Shaw over the summer with a very entertaining match. But Leonidas Arcona is an interesting match because Leonidas was really, in my opinion, more of a social media arm wrestler who kind of made the jump now into becoming an elite arm wrestler and a legitimate arm wrestler. And this is really a big test for Leonidas. Again, when you look at where his growth curve is, I think he's still way far from where that bell kind of hits the top for him. I think he's got a lot of growth and a lot of table maturity to go when it comes to the sport of arm wrestling. But I think this is a really good test for him. I do think that this is a test to really put him in a mind frame of where he needs to go. Devin is not going to be any less intense, any less, savvy on the table. He's going to win and look to win. I don't know if my prediction for him to win is my prediction, but he's there not to bring in the new blood. He's there to continue to reign over as one of the elite arm wrestlers because he's got on November 2nd a big match for a world title out in East versus West 15. So I like the matchup. I think it's a social media matchup. Being the headlining match for that event. A lot of eyeballs will be on it. A lot of people want to see just how strong Leonidas has become. And let's see if his acumen on the table will allow him to get into a lane that perhaps might get a victory over Devin. We'll see. There are a couple other events or a couple other matches on that event that are pretty cool. Obviously, our champ Corey West is going to be on there. Rob Vigent Jr. is going to be on there. But there is a matchup. I think there's really two other matchups that I think are really cool to watch. And since we're talking about the Lorettes, we're going to talk about Auden. He is pulling the Korean Hulk. And I'm going to say this might be his actual first test of his abilities. I say that respectfully. I know that they've kind of taken some real calculated opponents on to start building up his confidence, building up his social media presence. He is on the highest platform, if you will, when it comes to pay-per-view for social media types, being the king of the table. But I think that Korean Hulk has been a long, stable, and very well-respected arm wrestler in the world of arm wrestling. And unfortunately, I as much as I really like Auden in terms of what he's doing in the sport for himself and for the sport itself, I think this might not go his way. This may be the first real match that he's not going to sweep 3-0. I think this is a match that he may find himself up against something that he's not ready for. Now, when you practice with your father and your father's Devin Lorette, you kind of think to yourself, well, I should be ready for anything. However, time on the table really makes a difference. And I think that Auden is stepping up. He's challenging himself, and kudos to him. I think that's really a big plus for him as an athlete. But I think the Korean Hulk is not going to lay down. I think he's going to try to show his dominance here. And he's got a lot of table time, folks. It's a tough match for him. It's a tough match for Auden. I wish the young man best of luck, and I'm happy to see that he's moved up into a little bit stronger class of pullers. But I think he might be a little bit over his head in this one. I certainly would love to see Auden get upon a tournament schedule to get out there and really get some table time with some different arm pullers in a tournament setting. but he is in the super match setting. I just don't see this one going his way, but I do hope that he makes me eat my words, because I really enjoy watching this young man and him compete. The last matchup in that is a really interesting match. I really like Alex Krejcika, and I really think that he's someone that can get back to the world level. He came away from the sport for a little while. Some injury happened. He's back in. He's going to be pulling Artem Morozov, and I apologize. I hope I always say the names right. I'm not as fluent in the European names as I'd like to be. But Artem is a very accomplished puller. I think that Alex is putting himself in a position with this match to be able to put himself back up into the mix of World Championship caliber. So I'm hoping, as a fan of Alex, that he comes through. That'll be a huge match for him and a huge win. So that's our King of the Table report. And listen, folks, even though we are on the 28th and we'll have our bike with Harley Davidson, we certainly are fans of all arm wrestling out there, and we're wishing that to be a very successful event. And I'm sure that a lot of people will be watching that. But I want to segue into, folks, their counterpart or sister organization, or let's say parent organization. And maybe parent isn't right, because there's two different entities that own both King of the Table and East versus West. But East versus West 15, November 2nd, on the day of our finals, which again, what a great day of arm wrestling. You're going to have the best in super matches and the best in tournament arm wrestling all on the same day. And that matchup has some great matches. Let me tell you something. Reading this, you've got Devin pulling Oleg Petrenko. That's a world title. Michael Todd, who has really resurfaced and reinvented himself after a couple of losses, is on the winning trail. And Mike's a great guy. He is going to be pulling Gennady. And I kind of think that this is really going to be a place to see where Michael goes from here. I think that this is a good match for Michael. I think that he should win this match. And I think that this should put him back into the world title contention conversation. Georgia's Arm Wrestling, Irakli there for world title. Todd Hutchins is arm wrestling. And we haven't seen a whole lot of Todd Hutchins. I'm glad to see him back. I don't follow Todd in very much social media. I don't know that I see a lot of him in posting or anything like that, but Todd's a super strong arm wrestler. Great to see him. Oleg Zok is back, the big freakish left-hander. He is pulling for a world title. And then there's a few more world titles there in some of the lighter weight classes. But a very exciting card on East versus West 15, November 2nd. Kudos out there to Engen for another great card. Absolutely worth the watch. That'll be on Coresports.world as well. So make sure that if you aren't at the World Series of Arm Wrestling, you are watching some East versus West. And ultimately, great job for these guys to keep the momentum going. This should be, I think, their last match of the year. Although I did hear something about a December 15th potential match. I think the November 2nd may be the last match. Only reason why I would be cautious to say a December match is I think that with the holidays, it always makes it tough for people to travel, maintain weight, that sort of thing. Holidays are usually a good time to slow it down. And most sports, competitively do. However, don't be surprised if you don't see a big East versus West 15 or a King of the Table sometime in December to round out the year. So, I know we talked a lot about East versus West, King of the Table. They're an exciting program. Certainly, they've got a lot to talk about. And you got a lot of choices out there, folks. You think about events coming up. You got the UAL in Las Vegas in October. You've got the BMF series in October. You've got the TAL Texas State Championships in October. You've got quite a bit of excitement out there when it comes to arm wrestling. And of course, folks, we always say the best thing you can do with arm wrestling and ultimately the easiest thing to do because it's free is to hit that follow button. Hit that like, subscribe, and notify button. And follow on all platforms. It helps. It moves the equation, moves the algorithm, and obviously it helps our sport grow. So, guys, this has been another episode of Inside Arm Wrestling. I've got to go back to the cheat sheet one more time. This does it for another Inside Arm Wrestling News Report. This has been Greg Sharp. See, I got my name wrong. This has been Greg Sharp reminding you to train hard, pull smart, and live safe. Anthony, we need to go with a cue card next time. I am tired of looking down. I want to have it right next to the camera because we need that. This is rookie, as Ron Burgundy would say. This is rookie. Anyway, folks, have a great Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday with our final episode of the week with Inside Arm Wrestling. It's Greg Sharp. Enjoy your Wednesday. Folks, if you like these stories and you want to see more, please hit the like button and subscribe to our page. Also, hit the notification bell underneath the video so that way you're notified every time a new video comes out. And if you're on social media, specifically Instagram, go to the World Series of Armwrestling Instagram page. Please follow it. We'll try to follow you back, but it'll keep you up to date with all of the news and events in the world of arm wrestling.